sound we were going to play.
You know, I know this is going to come as some surprise to you, or maybe it won't, but apparently there's still hearings going on about the IRS scandal, which involved, and frankly, to the extent that this is a scandal, it's only because I think of the reaction by the administration. You know the story. 501c4s exploded after the Citizens United ruling because it allowed donors a way of essentially laundering their money without, while still being anonymous, into organizations that should have a primary focus on social welfare and not electioneering. And of course, because this was never that big of a problem, there was really no IRS mechanism in which to determine how do you define that. And so these offices were swamped with new 501c4 requests, which basically say you get a tax-exempt status. The organization does. And it allows anonymous donors. And so as a way in which to determine whether or not a group may or may not be more engaged in electioneering than they should be, they used words like Tea Party or liberal or whatever. And they then pulled these because they get so many applications, they couldn't scrutinize each one. They pulled these, scrutinized them, gave them a higher level of scrutiny to see if these opt-in people were deserving of this special status. They rejected none, at least of the conservative ones. They weren't targeting anybody. They were just using a shortcut, an inartful one maybe, but maybe not, of determining which ones they were going to screen. And this is still ongoing. And apparently Lois Lerner, the former head of that division of IRS, went up there, pled the fifth today, because she's apparently terrified to speak in public.
Oh, I think that really is why. She's just a prudent course of action at this point.
The this witch hunt that's on there. And God knows how many... she probably had to go into witness protection at this point. I'm not kidding, with all these rabid white right-wingers. So Darrell Issa hears that, and then apparently decides that he's going to end the hearing, not allow any type of response by, who's this? By the number two on the committee. Who is it? It's Congressman
Elijah Cummings.
Elijah Cummings.
The ranking Democrat.
And here is the hearing. Elijah Cummings is off mic at one point because Darrell Issa cut his mic.
He's saying, I have questions.
Right.
I want to say something in the hearing, too. And Darrell Issa literally is standing up over him saying, no, we're done.
And literally walking out of the room. Here it is.
On the advice of my counsel, I respectfully exercise my Fifth Amendment right and decline to answer that question.
Ladies and gentlemen, seeking the truth is the obligation of this committee. I can see no point in going further. I have no expectation that Ms. Lerner will cooperate with this committee, and therefore we stand adjourned.
Chairman, I have a statement. I have a procedural question, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I have a procedural question. Mr. Chairman, you cannot run a committee like this. You just cannot do this. We're better than that as a country. We're better than that as a committee. I have asked for a few minutes to ask.
Darrell Issa is getting up and leaving at this moment.
Yep.
I am the ranking member of the committee, and I want to ask a question. What are we hiding? What's the big deal? May I ask my question? May I state my statement?
You're all free to leave. We've adjourned, but the gentleman may ask his question.
Thank you very much. Mr. Chairman, I have one procedural question, and it goes to trying to help you get the information by the way that you just asked.
What is your question?
Let me say what I have to say. I've listened to you for the last 15 or 20 minutes. Let me say what I have to say. Sharon, I have one procedural
Ms.
question.
Lerner, you're released. You may.
But first, I would like to use my time to make some brief points. For the past year, the central Republican accusation in this investigation.
We're adjourned. Close it down.
Political collusion directed by on behalf of the White House.
You can't hear him because they cut his mic.
Thank you.
This was targeting of the president's political enemies effectively and lies about it during the election year in the poll. He continued this theme on Sunday when if you will sit down and allow me to ask the question, I am a member of the Congress of the United States of America. I am tired of this.
Well,
we have members over here, each who represent 700,000 people. You cannot just have a one-sided investigation. There is absolutely something wrong with that, and it is absolutely un-American.
Here, here.
we had a hearing. It was adjourned. I gave you an opportunity to ask a question. You had some questions.
I do have a question.
I gave you an opportunity to speak.
Chairman, what are you hiding?
He's taking the fifth, Elijah.
There you go.
Did you hear what that other
Yeah,
congressman
he said he's taking the fifth, Elijah. Speaking of, and the bottom line is that what Cummings is saying here is that you've been pushing this line that somehow there was collusion with the White House, as if the White House was saying, like, target these, dozen Tea Party groups in Cincinnati, because that's really going to help us. It's a joke. It's a real joke. Let's get to
And
something.
we'll
and
include
we
that
all
video.
know-
We'll include that video in the YouTube clip. So if you want to watch
Yeah.
it, we'll have
Another
it up.
point off
And
mic.
let me just say this. This whole IRS thing is clearly just a big distraction from Benghazi. Just clearly a big distraction. I want to know. I want to know if Darrell Issa is working in collusion with the White House to distract people from Benghazi. That's what I want to know.
Well, all good right-wing pundits and bloggers should know Darrell Issa is of Middle Eastern descent. So I'm just putting it out there.
Do you guys not follow? Do you guys not follow right-wing Twitter and right-wing internet? The most important issues of our time are Benghazi, IRS, Fast and Furious. If you like your health insurance, you could keep your health insurance. Those four things. That's all they repeat.
Right.
It's everything they say over and over again.
Do you know? Well, here's the irony. Do you know what Benghazi it means in Aramaic?
Ukraine.
In Aramaic.
Aramaic?
Yes.
Tell me.
It means if you like your insurance, you can keep your insurance.